Trump's going to win. He's going to win. I know that that's true. Why is Donald Trump going to win? The people he's about to defeat have no idea. And they're panicked. They have no idea why people like Donald Trump. The first reason that people like Donald Trump is because he likes them. That's why. And the second reason that people love Trump, and I put myself in this category, it's why I'm here today, is because he's liberated us in the deepest and truest sense. And the liberation he has brought to us is the liberation from the obligation to tell lies. You know what the big lie is? The big lie is that they're impressive. That's what the big lie is. That the people in charge have somehow earned the right to rule over you, and they haven't. And you know that. These are the single most useless people in the United States. They have no skills whatsoever. They've got 3/4 of the money, and they didn't earn it. They set up a system precisely for the purpose of awarding themselves wealth and power when it's undeserved.
It feels hopeful now in a way that it didn't a month ago, I would say. I wonder if Tucker agrees that it's really felt like it's recently changed. Anyway, let's ask him. Joining me now, Tucker Carlson, of course, tuckercarlson.com. I'm sure everyone has already subscribed and watches religiously. I know my mother does. Joining me now, my friend Tucker. Tucker, does it feel like it's changed recently? If you'd asked me a month ago, the RNC even, a couple months ago, whenever that thing was, it didn't feel hopeful. You know, it felt like maybe we'll have a shot. It's going to be a grind. It feels hopeful right now. Does it feel like that to you?
Absolutely. I think Trump is going to win. And I think he's going to win for a lot of different reasons. But here's the main reason I think it. All around you, people are saying what they really think in a way that they haven't, probably in the last 8 years. The crackdown began the second Trump was elected. The crackdown on speech and thinking for yourself, on doing your own research, went into force right after Trump was elected in 2016 and is just now breaking. The spell is breaking. I think Elon Musk had a lot to do with that. I mean, the idea that the most successful person in the world with the most at risk, the guy with the most government contracts, the guy with the most prestige to lose, would risk it all to support Trump in public was really heartening and inspiring for the rest of us, for people who are, kind of felt, they know they've been lied to. They know the COVID thing was just an extended lie. They know the wars that this country has funded and fought over the past 20 years have hurt the country. All the kind of realizations that people have in private but don't feel free to say in public, all of a sudden they can say it because people like Elon Musk are saying it. Maybe Donald Trump isn't the problem.
Tucker, you mentioned people feel free to say things now. It feels like the social shame system of this country made it shameful in 16 and frankly in 20 to be a Trump supporter. Now, I realize there were pockets of people who didn't show any shame for that at all. I get that. But for the most part, as the country as a whole, that felt like a shameful thing. Maybe I am in my own bubble. I admit I have put myself in as much of a bubble as possible because I don't want to hang out with dirty communists. But it feels like the social shame system has completely done a 180. And now if you're actually someone who votes for, supports a just despicable human being like Kamala Harris, it almost feels like you're ashamed of it. Even the actors and actresses, all the pedophiles in Hollywood, even they don't seem that into the little stupid ads they do now. Hey, vote Kamala, it's democracy. Doesn't it seem like that?
Absolutely. I mean, so for 8 years, the only people who would admit to liking Trump were the people with not much to lose. They were the people in the, bottom quartile for income in the United States. They were the so-called working class, his base, because they were the only people who could say out loud that they liked Trump. What are you going to do to a tow truck driver? Nothing. First of all, we have to have them. It's not like being a Deloitte consultant. We can just get another, girl from whatever, University of Maryland to take your job. We have to have a tow truck driver. And they're sort of below social sanction. But everyone above that, everyone in the striving middle class and above, had to kind of toe the line and tell the lie. And that group of people has been liberated. So like in the deep rural areas, everyone was always for Trump and they still are. But in the suburbs and among young people on college campuses, that's where I really notice it because I've got kids that age, and you see their friends, and like, there's nobody who would admit to voting for Kamala Harris at this point. You're a loser. Kamala Harris? Like, no one would admit we're voting for Kamala Harris. And that's the mark of the end of something. Like, they thought they could bully us into supporting Kamala Harris because she's sort of black or something. And they've just played that card too much. And people are like, I don't care what color she is. She's a loser and a freak. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I think that really is real.
Tucker, you've been doing this tour. Everyone's been watching the tour, the highlights, the guests. I got to be one of those guests. It's a great tour, but
You're
you're
awesome.
bouncing around the country talking to normal people. I was there watching you talk to normal people, a room full of normal people. What have you learned that you didn't know? And I should note, everybody, what is it, Thursday? Thursday night? The 31st. That is Thursday. Thursday night is it's the finale, right? The blowout, Tucker, Trump, Glendale,
Yes.
Arizona. I will be in attendance with my wonderful mother. So what did you learn crisscrossing the country and now the finale in Arizona?
Well, I mean, I learned what I knew, but I was just reminded of it, that America is a beautiful country filled with really nice people. There's less hatred than advertised. You read endless stories about the race hatred in America. I've never seen any American yell at another on the basis of race. Like, people kind of want to get along, and for the most part, they do get along. So that's nice to be reminded of. They're really nice people. Even the people who vote differently from me, they're mostly nice. It's a small group in charge. They're horrible. Most other people are pretty decent, I would say. And the second thing you learn is that the people in charge have really betrayed the country in a physical way. Like, it's falling apart. The infrastructure's bad. The cities are tired. No one's built anything in a long, long time. You never see a building built in the last 30 years that you would be proud of or want to live in. Even the McMansions are depressing and ugly and made out of vinyl. It's like there's been a massive dereliction on the part of the people in charge on the most basic level. If you're in charge, you build things, you make things, you improve the physical surroundings of your people, and they just haven't done that. They've been busy stealing it all. They're Larry Fink. They're just making money off what other people built. And there's something infuriating about that. It really put me in a revolutionary mood.
The election of Trump, if we get that, I don't want to get ahead of my skis here. We got to go out and vote and do our thing and all that. But the election of Trump, and let's hope a lot of down ballot wins as well, may stop or at least slow the bleeding. But can we be reversed? Can what we're going through right now be reversed on a macro level? Historically, it has not. When a nation gets too wealthy, too powerful, its elites get too corrupt and start to loot it like a bunch of bank robbers, that is historically very, very difficult to overcome and reverse. In fact, I can't really think of a time when it happened. Can we do it here?
That's right. I mean, look, the precedent suggests no, but we can't see the scope of history. We're just on a little dot on a very long timeline, on a continuum, and so we can't know what the future holds. We can only do our duty, and our duty is to fight for civilization, for order, and for justice, and for decency, for kindness, for concern for individual people, not communities or groups, but for the people around us. I mean, that's what we're tasked with doing. That's what every living person at any point in history, from the fall of Rome to the present day, that's your job. You do your job, period. And you do it to the best of your ability, period. And you can't be hopeless. You're not allowed to be hopeless. If you're a Christian, you're required by Christian law, by God's law, to be hopeful. There's faith, hope, and love. And love may be the greatest, but it's preceded by hope. So you have to be hopeful. What do I think about this election specifically? I think Trump's going to win. And I think if they tell me on November 6th that he didn't win, that Kamala Harris won because she's a historic black lady, or whatever, and that she got 85 million votes because people love her, they're going to have to prove to me that's true. I'm not going to accept that at face value. Why would I? They've lied consistently for decades. We now know that. They're liars. They'll say anything to win. They will kill people to win. They allowed Trump to get shot in order to keep control. That's a fact. And so it's not going to be as simple as saying to me, no, she's like much more popular than we ever imagined she was. There was just a groundswell of support for Kamala Harris because she's so enlightened and great and competent. Like, you're going to have to show me how that happened. I'm not going to accept it. If you can show me how it happened, I'm a citizen. I'm an owner of this country. I'm an equity partner here. I'm not an employee. So it's not enough. You got to show me the books. I think that's fair. I mean, it is
Nope.
fair. It's inherently fair.
Nope.
And I think a lot of people have the same feeling that I do. It's not that I won't accept the outcome. It's that I won't accept fraud. And you're going to have to show me how this is not fraud. And so, that's my position. I'm not.
And they don't get to
moving from there.
order us to accept it like we're peasants. I love that way of thinking.
I'm not going to
peasants,
accept
we're
that. I'm not going to
servants.
accept that. And
No.
I had a former employee of mine last night, text me, saying stuff like that. He's a full neocon liar, doesn't care about America at all. But I'll just say, he texted me last night, it's really bad for America to say something like that. How is it bad for America to prove what you say? I am not your employee. I am not your slave. I am an owner. I own a share of this country by virtue of my birth in it. I'm a citizen. And so if you're going to force me to do something, you're going to have to prove to me that it's legitimate, that you are legitimate, that your power derives from popular consent. That's democracy, which we have. It's a constitutional republic, but the principle is democratic. The people rule. And so it's not enough to just tell me or shame me or wave a gun in my face. I'm not going to accept that. And I mean I'm not going to accept that. And I think I speak for a lot of people in saying that. That's totally reasonable. That's consistent with founding principles. That's consistent with justice. And you're not going to bully me into accepting more destruction, including the destruction of my children's future, because you claim you're morally superior to me. I'm not going to accept that. And I would advise every other American not to accept that until they can show that they're telling the truth.
I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.